she knew they had a little 3-year-old boy inside and a brand new baby. And so she wanted to make sure they were all okay because she just seen something horrible happen. So she knocked on the door and Frankie's 3-year-old son came to the door alone. And when she asked him where Daddy was, the son said, Daddy is playing zombie in the bedroom.
No.
That is so fucked up. It's fucked up. So fucked up. It is just so damn fucked up. That's fucked up.
Hey, you guys. Here we go.
Here we go.
I feel like we haven't recorded in 30 years.
I know. It's been 84
Literally,
years.
when was the last time we recorded? It's
Oh my
been
God.
80 years.
3 weeks? 3 weeks ago, maybe?
That could be totally accurate. Honestly, now I want to check really quick just to see because I'm like, fuck, when was it? Oh, you know what? I don't know. Because
We deleted that month on the calendar.
I deleted recordings that month because I thought that it would make things less confusing for me, and I was incorrect.
It's been so long since we recorded that month no longer exists.
It didn't
That's
even
how long it's-
happen. You guys, hi. Welcome back to That's So Fucked Up, a podcast about things that make you go, ugh. Ugh. That's so fucked up. We are your hosts. I'm Ashley Love Richards.
And I'm Fallon Morey.
And holy fuck, do you think it's a coincidence that my second day on the ADHD meds, we said the fucking name of the podcast and our names within the first 90 seconds?
No, but I think in under 2 minutes, we should also talk about the topic.
Oh my God, let's fucking do it. Yes. Okay. Holy shit. Go.
The topic today, we're going to talk about the Pike County Massacre. Ooh.
I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so proud of us right now. Like, Fallon has been on ADHD meds for a little bit and has been
2 months.
diagnosed. Yeah. Wow. We're kind of on a journey together. And
know.
I got diagnosed recently with ADHD. Who's surprised? So many fucking listeners just went, oh my God, finally.
Finally.
So many people just breathed a collective sigh of relief. And y'all,
I know I did.
I told Fallon I might catch the Holy Ghost, etc. less now in the middle of other people's sentences.
I mean, catching the Holy Ghost was rather impressive. I hated watching that clip because it was the funniest clip that I think I've seen of the two of us. Hold on, I'm going to catch the Holy Spirit. But then also the most bummer, like, Fallon is the old goat in the conversation because I'm like, okay, anyway, back on topic. Forget your fun.
Yeah, she's like, boring,
No.
Ashley.
All right, let's go.
It's okay. It's okay. We can't all be appreciated right in our time, you know?
Right.
That's a thing. It's But you guys, seriously, for all of the listeners who joined the Discord or DM'd me or commented or something, was like, what's up, girl? You got ADHD. Thank you, because I do. And I'm now diagnosed and medicated, and I feel a little bit like I'm going to cry. I feel kind of like I took a happy pill. Like, I was on time for recording today. My coffee was hot. My setup was ready.
I was freaked out because normally I join, for all you who don't know the inner workings, I join panicking because I'm there at the time we start plus 30 seconds. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so late. And then Ash is like, hold up. Nope, I'm going to join a coffee. Let me give you the crotch shot. I'll be right back. And today I joined and I'm like, I'll be right back. And I was like, oh my God. And then I came back and was like, you're here? You're early?
I was just sitting here like ready with my headphones on, with my camera in place, with my fucking hot coffee.
And I'm the idiot who's like running around, taking my last bathroom break, being late.
It is.
It's wild.
Hey, don't talk about my friend like that. That's rude.
Oh, well, thank you.
Because I'm usually the fucking idiot doing the last bathroom break, okay? So don't. But, you know, what's up to our fellow neurodivergent friends? We see you guys, and thank you.
We're here for you.
We're here
Anytime.
for you. We love you, etc. Let's talk about the Pike-County-Massacre. I'm sorry, that just again blew me away. 5 minutes in, we're diving into the episode. Get the fuck out of here. Let's go.
Watch out.
I cannot. Okay.
I will I will, despite all of our frivolity at the beginning of the episode, our joy, not that I want to bring y'all down, but it is going to be kind of a rough episode. If you didn't get by the title having massacre in it, it's kind of sad.
Heavy.
I do have upfront trigger warnings for some SA and domestic violence. We won't go into anything in like super deep detail, but I'll try to let you know so we can fast forward a little bit when we get to those sections.
So this story, it has all the fun. Do any animals die? Or are you sparing us one thing?
I mean, I learned my lesson the last time when I was like, no trigger warning, and then terrible facts about dogs. And you're like, come on!
Whoa, Fallon.
And the collective internet hated me. No, not really.
They all freaked out.
No, but it's a lot.
Okay.
It's kind of a heavy story. We're not telling it lightly. We are going to talk about the victims as the story progresses, just because there's a lot of people involved. And so just take care of yourself. All right. Look at this. 6 minutes and I'm starting the first line.
I know. I didn't even interrupt you right there. If anybody is listening as this first episode, they're like, what the fuck? Hi, guys. Welcome. I've been doing the podcast for just a little over 4 years. Fallon's been doing it with me for like a year.
Yeah.
And I probably have always had ADHD, but it definitely became super pronounced in the last year. And it's been talked about a lot on the podcast and kind of joked about and stuff. So if you're like, why did they just start an entire episode talking about how proud of themselves they are for being in the story? Still, we're going to make it within under 7.5 minutes. But
we are.
That's why, you guys. So welcome and warning.
Yes.
Enjoy.
Welcome to our home.
Woo!
All right. So to set the scene, on April 21st, 2016, one of the worst mass murder cases in the state of Ohio occurred when 8 members of a single family were killed, basically in one day. Oof is right. But I don't know, when they say one of the worst mass murder cases in the state, does that mean that there have been like a lot of them by comparison, which is kind of sad?
My even more sad, I guess it's not more sad, but I think it's more logical, would be that they would be counting mass shootings.
Oh, yeah, that's
guess, like,
true.
Any mass fatality. Any mass fatality, any mass fatality, I would guess, is what they would be counting, right?
Yeah, probably any single crime that counts as a mass
For
crime.
Fun fact, I just checked the other day, as of I think it was like May 2024, there had been 220 something mass shootings in the United States. So more than one a day. Go USA.
Have you ever seen that Onion article? They post the same headline every time. The Onion posts another mass shooting, something like, we don't know how this happens, in literally the only country in the world where this ever happens, or something like that. They always post the exact same headline, and it's hilarious in a sad way. But anyway.
Oh my gosh, I just want to actually point that out as, like, for anybody, I feel like there's a really big kind of, and I'm not saying our audience, I think our audience is actually quite intelligent, but in general, I feel like there's a big misconception of what satire is. That is satire, my friends.
Satire, people.
Making fun of mass shootings in said way, that is satire.
To get to a certain statement.
Well, you're making a point by pointing out how fucking insane the thing is through the use of humor.
Right.
Satire is not pranking people on TikTok. Okay?
Right.
So I feel like that's maybe, I was like, that's a great example of satire right there.
Yeah.
The Onion.
Also, I think it's important to bring up the mass shootings. It's not off point because this was a mass crime committed. It was a gun-related incident. And it was people like getting back at, or people killing people over some sort of perceived issue, but having guns available to them to do it. And since we don't just like to gratuitously throw true crime around here, I think the important point is some of these types of things could definitely be avoided. But I digress.
No, I think that's definitely a very important point. You can more impulsively commit heinous crimes by pulling a trigger than using some sort of other weapon or whatever.
For me today, if I was mad, all I could do is throw this fingernail at you, this fake fingernail at you, because that's all I got. I don't have a gun.
Ow,
this is
bitch!
It.
And then I would scratch your face with my fake fingernails.
Yours are scarier
because we're We're fake fingernail hoes.
That's right, we are. So let me set a little scene for you. Pike County, Ohio is a pretty tight-knit community. According to a 2020 census, the population there is only 20,000 people. So pretty tiny. It's a very family-oriented town. According to the same reports, like 35% of the households contain children under 18, and 56% of the houses are married couples that live together. So this isn't like a wild town full of single folk or people just living it up. It's very, family structured in a lot of ways.
It sounds very America.
Yeah, like very quaint, small town America.
20,000 people is like, it sounds like a lot, but it's still enough where everybody knows each other's shit, I think.
And I think it's like, I want to say like 400 square miles or total. And so like that's 20,000 people spread out among that size. So it's pretty sparsely populated.
Wait, sorry. Does that mean there's like a little bit of people in a lot of space?
Well, yes. Yes. A little bit of people in a lot of space.
Hey, I know there's a few other people who are like, thanks for asking it like that, Ashley.
No, it's good. The point is that because there are not as many people as like your average big city, the residents trust each other. They like to help each other out when they can. There's a lot of faith bases in the community. A lot of people are people of strong faith. The county's website makes it look like the most idyllic place I've ever seen, bordered on some water. They have tourist attractions like historical sites, theater, and the arts. Pictures of it look completely idyllic. The murders left the town in complete chaos. No one at first knew who could have committed the crime, and it left pretty much the town afraid of who might be out there and that they might not be caught. And there were numerous rumors throughout, including involvement of cartel, drug-related reasons, as we'll get into, family squabbles, and, so many other theories.
Did I watch a documentary about this?
You may have.
Was there one on Max or something?
I don't know. I watched a couple on YouTube ones that were done.
Oh, okay.
Shorter, like 40-minute, hour-long YouTube ones, but they might have done one. I just don't know what it was called. I'm going to mention the victims briefly here, but we will talk about them in more detail in the story. They are Chris Roden Sr., age 40, Dana Roden, Chris Roden Jr., Frankie Roden, Hannah Gilly, Hannah Roden, Gary Roden, and Kenneth Roden. So 8 people, all in or connected to one single family.
God, that's so fucking sad, dude. It's like an entire family just...
Yeah.
I was going to say just massacred. Like, yeah, Ashley, good. Astute observation, Captain
Mic
Obvious.
Drop. We're done here.
Jesus.
And
oh my God.
See, your thoughts are so clear. You're there before I am.
Crystal clear.
So we're going to start a little bit with not necessarily how the crime happened. We're going to start with the discovery of the crime, talk about what the police found, and then kind of march through some of the theories and how it all cleared up. So the morning of April 22nd, 2016, Bobby Jo Manley, who was the sister of Dana Roden, arrived at the home of Chris Roden Sr. Bobby Jo, I think I just said, was Dana's sister. Even though Dana and Chris Roden were divorced, Bobby Jo went to Chris's house every day to help take care of the animals that he had on his property. He had, I think, some chickens and dogs and some other kind of farm type animals, and she would come over and take care of them.
Okay, wait, sorry. Who was divorced?
I'm getting there. I'm about to get there.
Okay, sorry. I was like, wait, did I miss something?
No, it's okay. So these are sort of the main two, I want to say like the matriarch and patriarch of the family that got massacred. So Chris Roden Sr. was 40 years old. He had been married to Dana, but they were divorced. Dana and Chris together had 3 children named Chris Jr., Frankie, and Hannah. Chris's cousin said later that Chris was a giving person. He was quiet, but when Chris spoke, it was something that was really worth hearing. He was also just an innate protector of his family. Bobby Jo, again, had gone out to Chris's home to take care of the dogs and and chickens he kept there. And she had some friends with her riding along. So according to her direct report, she had arrived to find the door locked at his trailer, which was super unusual because it was always unlocked, and she just went in. His 2 pit bull dogs were sitting on the front porch in chairs of the home, which never happened. They were always inside. So she found a key and entered the home, and right away realized something bad had happened. She reported that there was blood everywhere. She was calling and calling for Chris, and he wasn't answering. So she went to his bedroom and found him presumably dead. And then along with him was also his cousin named Gary Roden, and Gary was also deceased.
Wow. So she just walked in on 2 family members of hers, correct?
Yeah. So her sister was Chris's ex-wife. So she was very connected to the family and close friends with him. Like, she'd been helping him out every morning just forever.
Right.
So it's not like they divorced and, I mean, it's a small town. So I'm pretty sure like once you're connected to the family, you're pretty much probably family. This is quite a web of people. So feel free to jump in and ask to clarify anytime. I had to keep going through.
I shit you not. I was like, I should have a board and string for this.
I know sometimes I wish we had one of those little whiteboards you could draw on.
Can we make that happen somehow? I'm sure that's doable. We need some fucking graphs sometimes. But okay, I'll keep it with me.
Keep it in your mind.
Okay.
While the case was being investigated, and even in some of the documentaries now, she made what ended up being a pretty famous 911 call. She called and said, I walked in my brother's house. There's, not in these exact words, but basically like there's blood everywhere. She was frantic, and she said she thought someone had beat the hell out of him. She didn't know that he had been shot. She just knew he was either hurt or dead and covered in blood.
Oh, she didn't know if he was dead?
She realized he was dead, but she didn't know how he had been killed. She wasn't in there investigating. Right. Like I said, Chris was found dead along with his cousin Gary. Gary was only 38 years old. Gary was sort of like always trying to find his place in life. His older brother said that he had always been trying to find what was the right path for him. And by working with Chris, he actually had sort of found a path. They were very close. He and Chris worked together doing construction work, which he loved. Gary was a super fun-loving guy who tried not to take life too seriously. Later on, Gary's brother said, who escaped getting killed. You're writing this down.
Bitch, I'm not even kidding you. I am going to write down the names and who they are, because with 8 victims and then perpetrators and shit, like I am going to get mixed up. And maybe there's some people out there who are like, cool, I like that. So recap real quick.
I'll recap. That morning, the first discovery is Chris Roden Sr. And his cousin Gary Roden.
Okay.
Found in Chris's trailer.
Okay.
And they were found by, let's just say, Chris's sister-in-law.
Found by Chris's sister-in-law, but Bobby Joe?
Yes. Bobby Joe ran out of the trailer. She told 911, and she then went to the adjacent property, which was right near the same trailer, because she wanted to check on Frankie Roden and Hannah Gilley. Frankie was Chris's son and lived like right across the driveway basically from him. She knew they had a little 3-year-old boy inside and a brand new baby. And so she wanted to make sure they were all okay because she'd just seen something horrible happen. So she knocked on the door, and Frankie's 3-year-old son came to the door alone. And when she asked him where Daddy was, the son said, Daddy is playing zombie in the bedroom.
No.
This scene is pretty tough. It's like real life, but something out of Dexter. So if you don't want to hear it, fast forward about 30 seconds. Bobby Joe went into the bedroom and found Frankie and Hannah dead in the bedroom in bed together. Their 6-month-old baby boy named Ruger was alive, but laying between them covered in blood.
Jesus.
She leaned over Frankie, grabbed Ruger out of bed, wrapped him in her sweatshirt, and took him and the 3-year-old and ran out of the trailer. And she said later, I was not leaving those babies in there. All I wanted to do was get those babies out of there. Thank God they didn't take those babies too. Later on, she got some heat. She said that she totally stumbled upon all these people, and the police, one of the first questions they asked her was like, who did you hire to kill your family?
What?
Exactly. Just way to go with victim traumatizing.
Bro, Okay, hold on. And just really quick, just to make sure I understand, because I'm sure I do. And Hannah is Frankie's partner. So she's part of the family by association.
Hannah's was Frankie's fiance. They were parents to a 6-month-old baby and a 3-year-old boy.
Okay.
So they got the kids out of the house, thank God, but the kids were completely unharmed. And she said after leaving, she had friends with her because it was just an errand for her to stop at Chris's house. Like, she didn't know she was going to find dead bodies. So she had called 911. There were cops showing up. She said she came out of there with the kids and she doesn't even remember what happened after that. But somehow a third crime scene was found. And in a separate trail, a little way away from Chris's trailer, was a third trailer where Dana Roden lived. Her brother and Bobby Joe's brother, James, ended up finding Dana.
So Dana is part of the Roden family.
Yes. She and Chris Sr. were married, and Frankie, that had been killed, was their son.
Okay. So Dana was Chris's ex-wife, and she has also been murdered.
Yeah, we're getting there. So I guess after discovering this horrible crime at these two properties, they go to Dana's trailer, and she's a little bit north of the other two. And her brother, James Manley, went to her trailer and ended up finding her. Her brother reported that when he went into the trailer, it was completely dark. He walked right past the bedroom of the other people that lived in the trailer, because it gets worse, of course. He said it was dark. He saw his sister on the bed and couldn't tell if she was sleeping. He was scared, so he ran out. No police had gone there yet. He went on his own because Bobby Joe, I guess, had called him and been
do
oh my
that.
God.
That's a really bad idea.
Dangerous. He went back home to get his wife, and they went back to the house because they wanted to check on Hannah's baby. This is a different Hannah. This is Dana's daughter, Hannah.
So Dana also has a daughter named Hannah who also has a baby.
Correct. So James goes back to the house, and he was too scared to go back in because he had a feeling looking at James is Dana's brother that was the one who ended up going out and finding her.
Okay, so James is not a Roden.
No.
So James is also one of the people who found the victims, including Bobby Joe.
Yes.
Okay.
On the way back to Dana's trailer, James and his wife see the police that are investigating the first two murders, and they flag them down, and they're like, we think that there's a murder in this trailer, come out, you need to come with us. So police found Dana in the rear bedroom of the trailer. She had 5 gunshot wounds to her head.
Wow.
Her 16-year-old son, 16, Chris Jr., was found in his bed with 4 gunshot wounds to the head. He had been Chris and Dana's youngest son, and he had been described by friends as a, fun-go-lucky teenage boy, and it looked like he had also been killed at the same crime scene.
An overkill. It's rageful when it's that many bullets to the head.
And this one this is very sad. Down the hall, her 19-year-old daughter, Hannah, was found with 2 gunshot wounds to her head. When she died, she had just given birth 4 days ago. Her baby was found with her, laying next to her, alive, but covered in Hannah's blood. She also had a 4-year-old that was with her daughter's father, a man named Jake Wagner. So Hannah...
The 4-year-old was there too?
No, the 4-year-old was with her dad.
That is seriously, this whole thing is fucking the beginning of Dexter, though. That's insane. That is so sad, dude.
Twice over. One of her family friends said Hannah was the strongest chick she knew. She was loud, bubbly. Nobody had ever really seen her cry. People said even though she was so young and she had 2 little kids, but she still had a really great personality. And yeah, she unfortunately was among the now, what is it? 7-person body count.
7, because I literally have a list going.
I know. It's hard. It's really hard. So the Pike County Sheriff had put out some information about what was going on. There were other law enforcement activities showing up to assist because it was a big job of what's going on. Other family members, because, a lot of people are connected, so they're like cousins or whatever. They were hearing about what was happening, and everyone had sort of gathered at a local church to talk to each other. And Donald Stone had heard about the tragedy. He hadn't been able to reach his cousin Kenneth or Kenneth's son Luke. So he went out to his cousin's house and found his cousin dead and called 911. So this is our 8th victim. The 4th crime scene was Kenneth Roden's home. He was Chris Sr.'s brother. He was 44 years old. Police found him lying in bed with a single gunshot wound to the eye. And they also, according to one article we found, said that he had had dollar bills thrown all over his body.
Dude, what the fuck?
Weird.
That's
Yeah, a little
really weird.
The Attorney General contacted the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation, the BCI, to ask for assistance in the case. Lead investigator in charge, a man named Benjamin Suver, said that in his 27 years of work, the complexity of the murders did not match anything he or his colleagues had ever investigated. Initially, investigators had no idea what the motive could be for this, but one of the important clues seemed to be that all of the children were left alive, very conspicuously alive.
Well, that to me would indicate that this person wasn't a sadistic serial killer, but somebody like maybe exacting revenge or something, because
Right.
if they wanted to fucking kill babies, they would have. They had the opportunity, but they didn't want to, it would seem.
Right. It wasn't just a walk into this structure and kill every living creature inside, because they left the animals alive, the kids are left
Right.
alive, you know. 2 days after the murder, tips were pouring in and 30-some people had already been interviewed. Jake Wagner had been given full custody of the daughter he shared with Hannah Roden. And I think that the other 2 babies, there was another 3-year-old and the 6-month-old, they were in child protective custody at this point as the investigation played out. Over the 4 crime scenes, of course, they found a lot of different evidence. So at Chris Sr.'s trailer, there were bullet holes in the outside. A blood trail was evident, which probably meant that Chris may have been actually killed out by the door of his home, and then his body or the other person's body had been drug into where they found them. There was no sign of Chris or his cousin trying to flee, and no evidence of defensive wounds on their body. So it's not like somebody came in and they fought them off and had a big struggle.
And they were all killed by gunshot wound to the head. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
There was a camera found on Chris Sr.'s trailer. It included a motion detector, but the police found that the wires had been disconnected. And then there was blood found on the outside of the garage that was found to be Gary, the cousin that was killed there. And so what they believe was the killer had entered the garage before or after to disable the surveillance to remove the tapes or the memory from the camera so that nobody could see it.
So that also, because I'm just keeping my investigator hat on, would suggest to me that the perpetrator had intimate knowledge of the property.
Right. You can see on a picture, like, it's a pretty tiny little camera. It's not like it's one of those giant, like, supermarket surveillance cameras. It's like a little tiny.
Right. And they had to know where to go to wipe the memory of said camera.
Right. Nobody would know walking in my house where my security stuff is. They have no idea.
Well, good thing everybody knows that you live in New York. So
some part of New
you're
York,
fine.
Eastern, Western.
Like, you don't have to worry. It's big.
The weird thing was at this property, they didn't find any shell casings, and there was one projectile only found beneath the trailer. They did find 2 bloody shoe prints. Both were left-footed shoe prints, 2 different size shoes. So for a while, police were also running around looking at people's shoes. I don't think that really amounted to anything.
Well, that would suggest 2 perpetrators, right? Potentially. What do you mean? Of course. Well, no, I guess they could just be footprints from anybody walking around, right?
Right. Like it could have been. But so I'm getting
Shut
there.
up, Ashley.
I don't like you
I'm
so
like,
focused.
I am locked in.
You are locked in. So at Frankie and Hannah's house, they found that the side panel door had been damaged, but the lock wasn't actually broken. That could have happened outside of the crime. There was a window open, but it didn't look like it was likely opened by the killer because there were knickknacks and stuff under it. So those all would have been knocked over had somebody opened a window and broken in that way. So they think that maybe it was just an unlocked door that someone came through. Nobody struggled breaking through it. Frankie and Hannah had likely been asleep when they were killed. The police found casings for 5 different bullets and weapon casing from a separate gun, which meant multiple guns and likely multiple shooters.
Okay, can I just take a minute to be mom and bother everyone once again with the PSA? Not that I believe that a locked door would have saved them, but please lock your doors, you guys. Just please lock your doors and windows, even when you're home. It's just as a solid to me, okay? Thanks. Love you.
So, unfortunately, nothing that they were getting evidence-wise and nothing that was being tested was returning anything of value. So even though they had shell casings, they had footprints, they had some circumstantial stuff, there was no concrete evidence really emerging. And with so much of this being a gun crime, there was so little ballistic evidence. Whoever did it obviously cleaned it up or knew to clean it up. There wasn't as much as they would have thought should have been there to correspond with the crime that had been perpetrated on these victims. The only thing that they did find, because they were running all over town looking for shoes, was that a scientist found matches to shoes that were only sold at Walmart.
Let's get some shoes.
Let's get some shoes. That's funny. My husband and I say that all the time. Let's buy some shoes. I forget what it's from.
I think that was maybe the first thing on the internet. I don't think it was actually, but it was one of the first big things, I feel like. Viral as a society, don't you think it was one of the first things that you guys hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think.
So the BCI was dealing with an investigation that had no eyewitnesses, no fingerprints, no DNA evidence, and hardly any ballistics for a gun crime.
What are ballistics? I'm just going to go ahead and ask.
Ballistics are things from guns.
Oh, okay.
Ballistics evidence would be when they can look at the gun casing and determine by how it's striated on the sides. Did this bullet come from this gun? So if I fire this, if I have a gun and I fire it, it'll make a unique impression on the outside of the bullet casing, or sometimes on the bullet itself if they find it.
So ballistics is gun evidence.
Basically.
Got it.
Things start to get interesting a little bit in the investigation. Police uncover a series of weed growing operations on the properties where all the rodents were killed. Pretty extensive. It was found growing in sheds, barns, and an attic. The amount found made it evident it was grown for sale and not personal use. And of course, this is before it was legalized anywhere. So people immediately start thinking, okay, this might be Mexican cartel drug involvement.
Because Americans don't grow and sell drugs.
I don't know. This isn't a value statement on growing weed. I think it's just what they thought at the time. They were going for anything.
Right. Okay. So they're looking for, perpetrators. Okay. I get it.
Perpetrators, or just a lot of times they look for motive.
I was like,
first.
Isn't that a little bit fucking racist? But okay, I get it. They're trying to figure out who would have done this. And maybe, the cartel is known for killing competitors. We do know that. It's either hey, you play with us, or we fucking murder you. If we learned anything from Breaking Bad, you guys, it's that the cartel doesn't fuck around. Right, Fallon?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen 3 episodes, so I guess.
You should watch it. It's so good.
Maybe 5. It was good, but then I got distracted. I don't know. So
I had other things to do.
So the BCI eventually found no credible evidence of the cartel involvement, but they still were considering a local drug ring.
What does BCI stand for? Did you tell me already?
Yeah. The
Bureau of Criminal Investigation.
Yeah, for Ohio. So the Ohio BCI, which is funny because I've been on a kick rewatching the show The Mentalist, and that also is about people who work for the BCI, but they're in California, but they're called the CBI.
Acronyms.
So it was 90 days after the murders, and there was no real person of interest. The authorities were starting to become interested in Jake Wagner because of his relationship with Hannah Roden. Hannah was the 19-year-old daughter of Chris and Dana, and she left behind a 4-day-old baby and a 4-year-old who now was living with Jake. Hannah and Jake had been introduced back in 2010 when she was 13 and Jake was 17. They began dating, and after 2 years, they moved into the Wagner's family home, where Jake lived with his parents and his older brother. Friends of Hannah's had said that Angela Wagner, who was Jake's mother, reminded her of the mom you always wanted to be. or you always wanted, your mom to be. The house was always clean. There was food on the table. She sewed for people. Angela acted like she really loved Hannah, so Hannah got treated really well while she lived with that family. Billy Wagner, Jake's dad, was a close friend of Hannah's dad, so dad knew him. And the ages here are a little suspect, right? She's 15 and he's 19 at this point, which is...
I don't love that.
I don't either. I'm not excusing that, but it does seem like her parents were probably comfortable with it because it was a family they knew and a fairly, what they thought was a reputable family. Jake and Hannah had planned to get married and had tattooed wedding rings on their fingers to match. After the murders, one of the friends of one of the other girls that was murdered, Hannah Gilly, messaged Jake expressing condolences, and Jake replied it was the toughest thing he ever had to go through and said, I don't know how I'm going to explain to my baby girl her mom is never coming back. This same friend named Whitney said that she had never owned a gun, but that day, because she was so terrified of what had happened, she went and got a gun. People who were family members of the Rodens had actually been advised to take caution, and people were concerned that something was going to happen to the Wagners next because they were so closely connected to the Rodens, with the two kids dating and having kids together. So the Wagners were sort of seen as the rich people in the town. Their family had owned this giant 1,700-acre horse farm called the Flying W Farm. They also had a successful horse breeding business, which is very lucrative, or can be very, very lucrative. They were worth an estimated $4 million. And, originally Angela, Jake's mom, had taken a liking to Billy when they were younger because, all the things that, money can buy you. Billy worked on the farm and he was also a trucker. Now, they looked like this picture-perfect family on the outside. Small towns are good at keeping secrets. That's what one friend of the family said.
I thought small towns have a reputation for being fucking like gossip central.
They're gossip central, but I think it's that stuff happens in small towns or small insular communities that kind of gets kept within those communities. And so things, or it's rumored, but nobody's
like
doing anything
secrets.
about it because it's just like...
Yes, okay.
Right. Angela Wagner's half-brother, Chris Newcomb, said that he had always noticed that Jake was sort of a loner when he was a kid. He was a little bit on the outside of his family, and he was very, very controlling. And while Hannah was living at that house, she would actually complain to him about Jake's behavior, how he was annoying, he was controlling.
So he's 4 years older and controlling. Now I'm especially not liking it. Very surprised and hating it.
And he was very bossy. What a shame. He's presenting this relationship to her family and his as super openly positive and blah, 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 blah. The police are starting to look into them like, they had a relationship. They weren't together anymore. It wasn't going well. She was complaining.
We're looking for motive.
Right? Like, let's keep that on our radar, shall we? So we had mentioned before that the police had found weed growing on the Rodens' properties where all the family were killed. However, it wasn't until later that they discovered that Chris and Billy Wagner, Jake's dad, had actually been selling weed together. So they decided in September of 2016, this is a few months after the murders, to surprise Billy Wagner as he's coming out of Kroger. And some of his statements in the interview included, Chris, he'd give you this shirt off his back. He's my best friend. He said, ain't a bunch of fucking hillbillies do something like that. That's some SEAL Team 6 bullshit. Meaning kill people like that. You boys going in the wrong damn direction. You don't know Chris. He wasn't no saint, but he never hurt at nobody.
Billy Wagner said this?
Yes.
Huh.
And then he also said to them, goes against my grain telling you anything, but Chris had some weed coming in, commercial type. He was going to sell it to the whole damn country. I told him he was out of his fucking mind. He also denied being business partners with Chris, saying he only hauled cars for Chris. And through investigation, they found out that basically he was lying because Billy Wagner and Chris Roden had been involved in an $800,000 operation, often taking trips together in Billy's truck to deliver the weed.
The marijuana.
Billy spent basically this entire impromptu interview trying to get them off the scent of the Wagner family and on to something else.
He's like, you guys can't tell that some Navy SEALs did that shit? I mean, I can see that from a mile away. Only Navy SEALs would have done that.
Not surprisingly, in March of 2017, just a few months later, the Wagners abruptly sold their whole property and moved from Ohio to Alaska.
Dude.
Not suspicious at all.
Stop. I thought you were going to say they like got up and moved literally like anywhere else. And I was going to say, well, that's kind of sus. But the fucking fact that they went to Alaska, even people from Alaska say that nobody goes there unless they're running away from something or, well, I think that's usually why they say people go there. They're running away for something or they're trying to start new because they're running away from something.
Yeah. No. So what's funny is that people in town were not that suspicious because the Wagners had always talked about moving to Alaska someday.
Shut the fuck up. No, they hadn't.
The family told Chris Newcomb, who is Angela Wagner's half-brother, and his fiance that they moved because they were afraid for their lives and they thought someone was going to come kill them.
No, wait, but are you serious? Had they really prior talked about moving to Alaska?
Yeah, so apparently it wasn't immediately that suspicious. I'm sure it was more suspicious given like, okay, we found your weed operation and we're digging into it and we interviewed you. So now is like the perfect time to move to Alaska. Right.
It's like you've had this dream and now's the time to go for it. Interesting.
Odder still, I think, is their behavior that follows this. So after they moved to Alaska, both Billy and Angela Wagner's fathers passed away. So this would have been Jake's grandparents. They didn't return for either funeral. Their parents passed away. They don't return for any funeral. And there was no indication that they were like not close to their family because it was their properties and stuff they had inherited.
So obviously they did it. So I'm like trying to think, would it be better to go for the funeral to keep up appearances or because like that is so sus. Everything you're doing is just screaming guilty.
I mean, I know when you're suspicious of something, the best way to throw off suspicion is to completely change your lifestyle and wave your arms around doing things that make you look more suspicious.
And move to the most sus place on the planet and just completely cut off contact with your fucking family who you had prior been close with.
Right.
Not weird at all.
They had a $4 million business and they were just like, time to sell.
You know, I hope that one day I have a $4 million business and I'm just like, you know what? I've made it. I'm good. It's time to fuck off to Alaska. Except it's really cold there. So I'd pick somewhere else. But I can only dream.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like that's the situation here. I smell
I'm going to fuck off
trouble
to Hawaii.
And weed.
As you said, the BCI found this behavior strangely suspicious, and they were able to search the Wagner home after it had been sold. This was a year after the murders had occurred.
Oh, no.
Well, here we go. During the search, a receipt from Walmart was found that showed purchase of the shoes that had matched the crime scene footprints purchased right before the murders. They also found video footage of Angela Wagner at Walmart purchasing the 2 pairs of shoes in sizes 10.5 and 11, which were consequently the 2 sizes found at the crime scene.
Wait, hold on. Please tell me that they were only sold at that Walmart in Ohio.
Well, I mean, they probably were far enough away from any other Walmart that it would be highly suspect, but it was a receipt for those 2 pairs of shoes. So like it has to be at that store.
Ugh.
I know when my mom lived in a more rural area, we had to drive 30 minutes in any direction for a Walmart. So it's not like it was this Walmart or the one 10 minutes down the road.
If there was a Walmart in 30 minutes, you weren't that rural. Get out of here.
30 minutes? My Walmart is, well, I'm not going to say that.
I do have a Walmart like 9 minutes from me, but I feel like you're making it sound like your mom lives in the just like middle of the boons. Like there's obviously a fucking grocery store and shit, right? It's just to get to the bigger stuff.
Where she used to live, there's one grocery store and there are like 2 stoplights. And there's a Walmart that's 30 minutes this way and one 30 minutes this way. So they're 60 minutes from each other.
That's fucking wild, though. It's like, all right, do you want to go to Walmart or do you want to go to Walmart that's in the other direction?
Right.
Savings either way, friends. So hold on. Angela, that's mama.
Her son has a baby with one of the victims.
Wait.
Weird, huh? Jake is her son. Jake has now had custody of Hannah Roden's baby.
So hold on. You are saying essentially, I was going to say jumping the gun. And then I was like, don't say that. And I was like, but now you've already paused for this long. So she facilitated in the murder of her grandbaby's mom.
That's what it's looking like.
What a fucking cunt.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Fuck you, Angela.
So May of 2017. So this is over a year since the murder and after they found the evidence of the shoes. The BCI receives a tip that the Wagners are coming back to Ohio. They were going to go back to Ohio and pick up more of their possessions, and they stopped the Wagners at the border in Montana.
Greedy dumbasses. If they would have stayed away, would they have been fine if they just kept chilling in Alaska? Not that I'm obviously glad that they were stupid and didn't, but did they basically get caught because they wanted to get more of their stuff?
Yeah.
These people suck, bro. These people suck so much. Oh my God, I hate them.
I had to go pick up my old Blood, Sweat, and Tears CDs and, my
Blood, Sweat, and
scarf.
Tears?
I don't know.
Wait,
I don't know. I'm
There's
just
a
making it up.
band that's something like that. What is it? That's a band?
Yeah, I think so.
No. Are you going to look it up?
Yes.
I was thinking Tears for Fears.
Yeah. Blood, Sweat, and Tears is a band.
Who knew? Tears for Fears is also a band, you guys.
Everybody wants to rule the world.
The Wagners do.
That's by Tears for Fears. That's
I
why was saying.
know. I know.
Oh,
I got
I
that.
thought you
but
just missed my joke.
The Wagners do have they seem like they've got we want to rule the world kind of thing. You know?
Sounds like it. Or they don't think that anything will stick to them. So George and Jake, the two brothers, denied any involvement in the murders. And Billy Wagner, their dad, did not want to cooperate with the investigation. Angela agreed to sit down and talk to investigators. She claimed that she and Hannah Roden had a wonderful relationship, and she called Hannah her daughter. She claimed she had no idea why anyone would say that her family had hurt the Rodens, and initially tried to say that she did not buy the shoes. The BCI then told her, well, we have a receipt and footage proving that you did.
You're on camera.
So then she said, I guess I bought the shoes, but I threw them away. The boys wouldn't wear them, essentially.
The boys is her sons.
Her sons, or her son and her husband. They don't really specify who she bought them for. They just said, yeah, so the boys wouldn't wear the shoes, so I threw them out. The BCI then told Angela that they didn't believe her story and found her interview to be suspect. And at that point, she stopped the interview and said, I want to get an attorney.
And these motherfuckers, when Bobby Joe found all the victims, they were like, so who'd you hire to kill your family?
Right. When they first started doing interviews with people, she said that I understand they need to talk to everyone, but did the first thing they said to me really be like, who'd you hire to kill your family?
Yeah, that's so fucking... I understand that the police need to treat everybody like a suspect, but fuck, man, can't you have like a little decorum at the same time or something? God.
Right.
All right, Fallon. Well, when we started recording this, I didn't know that the story was going to evolve so much into so many wild directions. So I think we should probably wrap up this episode and make it a two-parter and catch these kids on the other side next Friday.
I think that's a great idea. I love a two-parter.
Also, if you don't want to wait till Friday, this baby will be out on Patreon on Tuesday. Ew! Patreon.com/TSFU. All right, guys. So that was real as fuck.
And real fucked up.
And we will see you next week to figure out what the fuck, where is this all going? I don't know. I don't like it, but I'm looking forward to figuring it out. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bum 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 bum. That's fucked up. So fucked up. Can't you see? It's just really fucked. That's fucked up.